Hello and welcome to day 23 of our Jessie Tree Reflections for Advent. And today's character is Mary. Now, I've coloured her in this way, partly traditional, with her blue robe and with a halo, but also less traditional, at least in British art, showing her with brown skin and very dark hair, because that's probably what she actually looks like. And I sometimes wonder with Mary whether sometimes we get the wrong end of the stick about the kind of person she was. Like Ruth on day 14, she's an interesting mixture of obedience and feistiness. The way she says yes to a huge calling shows obedience and faithfulness to God, and that's wonderful. But sometimes she's been set up as an unrealistic model of femininity for some women. After all, she's the only one who's managed to be a virgin and a mother. And sometimes it's been suggested that she was the sort of person who had no more personality than perhaps than the inside of a loo roll, and that's an insult to loo rolls, when actually that's not quite how she comes across. She has to be very brave to say yes to this call from God. And not long after, when she visits her cousin Elizabeth, and it impinges on her who this child is, she lets rip with this wonderful song of praise that's anything but submissive. Talks about tearing down the mighty from their seats, lifting up the weak, the hungry being fed, the rich sent away empty. Hardly the meek, mild, submissive, merge into the wallpaper woman we sometimes think of. She's also a woman of courage, a woman who in her obedience challenges injustice. And both her obedience and her challenging injustice are an example to all of us today, whether we're male or female. Let us pray. Loving God, as Mary took the leap of faith and said yes to you, may we say yes to your calling on our lives, even when we don't know how it's going to work out. When Mary welcomes you into her heart and mind, but even also her very body, seeds of a new world were sown, injustice was challenged. Help us in our obedience to you, to live your way rather than the way of the world around us, to challenge all that is unfair and unjust and cruel, to speak out against it, and to proclaim the message of a world made new. Amen.